Good morning.
Morning. Just said to Suze about 10 minutes ago, let's try and be early. What time is it? Yeah, 32.
I've got 31.
Oh, 31.
31.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just hang fire a little set. Oh, there's 2 on Facebook already. Good morning, Facebook. And good morning, Insta. So today we had a request from someone.
Yep.
And what was the request?
Quite an interesting one, actually. It's one that's all around us all the time. And they were asking about our thoughts on the inner voice. Mm-hmm. What do you say when you speak to yourself? What is that inner voice that we all actually have? So we kind of thought we'd maybe just kind of try and I'll ask really is, who is and what is that voice that's inside your head?
So, for me, first of all, I'm feeling a bit low vibe.
Okay.
So I want us to stand up.
Stand up?
Yeah.
Okay, come on then, let's go.
If you're at
Make
home,
a move.
stand up.
Make a move.
Just have a yes!
Woo!
Yes! Yes!
Woo! Woo! Energy. Get the cells going.
Get yourself fired up. Fired up. It's the morning. Let's do it. Okay. I'm here for you now. I didn't know I was going to do that. I just felt the energy was a bit low, so I needed to raise it. So hopefully that has raised your vibes a little bit. If not, stand up, shout yes, clap your hands, woo! And then back onto the topic of your inner voice.
Inner voice.
Okay.
So who is it? What is it?
So for me, this is an area that I have worked a lot with myself in my own journey, and it's something I help clients a lot with. What I always say to people is that voice loving and supportive? Okay? If that voice is not loving and supportive, you don't really want to be listening to that voice. Okay? It is your ego. It is trying to keep you small. It's trying to protect you from fear. It's trying to do all these things. You need to reframe it. So often we'll be stuck in that cycle. You can be having full-blown conversations with yourself in your own head. This is normal. Yeah, I had a client say this to me recently, like, I think I'm crazy. I'm thinking all these thoughts. And I'm like, no, this is normal. This is normal to have these conversations with ourselves in our head. And it's good morning, Louis. Good morning, Lisa, Joe, Emma, Abby. Awesome. So yeah, no, it's totally normal to have these conversations in our head with ourselves, but you also need to recognize, this was actually something I was speaking about in the membership recently about mindset makeover, was how many of these thoughts we have a day and how many are repetitive. And I can't remember the actual stat, but it's something ridiculous, like 75% of them, or maybe even more than that, are actually repetitive thoughts. So that's why it's really important to pay attention to this thoughts, this voice, because if it's recurring negative patterns, then you need to find the awareness to switch them. And sorry, just going on a little ramble, now you've got me started. But in my book, I use a stop technique, whereby if you're having this negative dialogue with yourself, you say stop. It's a lot of my readers' favourite parts of the book because you sing in it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Change the pattern, change the thought, change the chat.
Okay. Let's go back to the original question. Who is it and what is it? Mm-hmm. The voice in your mind is you. Remember that. It's you. You are having a conversation with yourself. Mm-hmm. You can't control that all the time. More often than not, you don't. How is it, you're going about and you're walking down the street and you go, oh, she's got a nice dress on. But you actually see, you already know she's got a nice dress on, but you tell yourself that. It's the self-conversation that we have. It speaks to you. And as Sue says, it can be both dark and bright. It can be negative, it can be positive. But I think that, it's a spiritual energy that we have, and I'm not overly as spiritual as Susie is, or in connection with energy, but I've learned that that's exactly what it is. It's energy around, it flows in our body and stuff like that. Because if you really break it right down, who are we and what are we, and where are we and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, we're going deep. We're
Oh,
going real deep this morning.
Is that a bit deep? But I remember years ago, I know one of my mentors, a guy Zig Ziglar, said, what are you saying when you speak to yourself? And Suze, we're big on affirmations. We're big in reinforcement. We're big in finding the good in everything.
Explain what affirmations are.
Yeah, affirmations.
For people who don't know.
Go on then, will you?
So affirmations are positive statements that we say about ourselves. They need to be, firstly, they need to be positive. They need to be personable, so i.e. about you.
Relate to you, yeah.
They need to be present. Is that 3? Positive, personable, present. So basically things such as I am. So I am brave, I am strong, I am confident, I am freaking awesome. Okay, so things like that, rather than I'm so stupid, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, I can't figure this out, I'm so rubbish. Sorry, my father's just trying to call. So
he could join in right now.
He could join in. We'll call him back. So they need to be positive. So what we do when we're using affirmations, it may sound woo-woo, like, well, I don't believe that because I don't feel awesome and I don't feel bold or strong or confident. But what you're doing is you're reprogramming your brain to create these positive neural pathways. So that's what affirmations are used for, to change that inner dialogue to something that is more supportive, to help you achieve the things you want to achieve.
Definitely. And the question is, why is it you're not feeling great? Why is it you're feeling down? What are you saying to yourself during that emotion, during that time? What is it that's allowed you to feel like that?
Yeah.
That you need to kind of go and exercise, affirmations, or, just doing something that makes you feel good. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, the inner voice is... the inner voice...
We're balancing on a phone cable today.
The inner voice is, a messy, complicated piece of energy that is with you all the time.
Yeah.
So rather than trying to kind of fix it or sort it, what I've discovered is being able to acknowledge that it's there and being aware.
That's what you say, make friends with it.
Yeah, be aware that it's there. And, if you're having conversations, have a conscious conversation, if you like. When you feel yourself drifting away, acknowledge it and be aware of it and let it happen, but let it go and move on to the next thing that you're actually doing. That's the key thing, because what we're hoping to maybe think about today is, who is it, what is it, and what can you do about it? Really, at the end of the day, that's what I think that's what the person was asking about.
So some people might know of this voice as their inner critic. Some people call it the ego.
Call it any like.
Some people call it their inner mean girl, or it can be a positive voice as well. It's not all negative, but it really is about befriending that, and as you say, having that awareness and acknowledging, where is this voice coming from? Is it coming from, so say it was something negative, like, oh, you can't do that because you're too stupid.
Yep.
Okay.
So
is that voice actually your voice? Is that voice coming from an experience you have had as a child at school with a teacher? Or is that voice, coming from another experience that you've maybe had, where it's generally, when it's negative, it's there trying to protect you from something. And this is why it's quite good to befriend it. In that, I see this a lot with anxiety sufferers, where we'll try and push the anxiety away and push the anxious thoughts away. But actually, when we stop and acknowledge them and say, okay, I hear you, like, I know that you're trying to protect me, I understand, that you are thinking this is a fearful situation, but actually it's not, that I am safe, or you know, tapping into where is that coming from, and then acknowledging it and then reframing it. So it's a process, and the stop technique I describe in my book, you know, just acknowledging it, stop, you know, to have that awareness to see what's going on with it, I think is really, really important.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys that are listening, do you have that inner voice? Do you have that inner dialogue with yourself where, you know, you can have full-blown conversations in your head? Sometimes it can be quite exhausting. Sometimes it can be quite funny.
It can just be. You know, you're driving along and, you know, your voice then says, oh, the lights are about to turn amber. Well, you know that, but why do we tell ourselves that? You know, because we could actually see it, that it's actually happening, but we actually use our energy and tell ourselves in our conversations. It's very, it's incredible actually. Incredible.
Louise is saying she hears that voice daily. She can be a right cow.
Well, let me...
and a delight.
Okay,
She's finished by speaking.
Right, on that note, right, here we go. Your inner voice, okay? You know, you're sitting watching a movie, you get lost in the movie, you're not aware of what else is going on, you're in the movie, and all of a sudden you think about, oh, I fancy some popcorn, or I want some Coke, or I think I might go to the toilet. This is you speaking to yourself. Now think of all the things in a day that you speak to yourself, you think, for goodness sake, will you just shut up? Right? Now, give your voice out of your mind and give it a body, right? Give it a body, and ask yourself a question. If that person who's with you all day, if that thing was with you all day, talking the way you talk to yourself, how would you feel about it? Would you want that person around? Would you actually be saying, I think you need to get out of here?
Yeah.
You are bugging me, you're annoying me, what crap are you talking about? But that's what actually is going on in our brains.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing to ourselves, is we actually exhaust with the inner voice, allowing ourselves to actually be driven by it, if you like. It's that old thing about...
Louise is saying in response to your thing that she would give it a slap if she had to carry it around with her all day.
Well, there you go. Be careful you don't hurt yourself.
And Jo is saying over on Instagram that she's noticed that hers has been really noisy recently, overwhelmed, starting a new business. And absolutely, Jo. And, you know, this is why I think, like, sure, you did some other things that you didn't mention there about meditation and affirmations and seeking quiet and, you know, finding that space to allow the body to still, because this inner voice likes to take over. It likes to get into the driving seat. And when I used to teach my kids classes, we had this analogy about elephants and meerkats and oh gosh, I can't remember the third part. No. So but the meerkat basically is that part of the brain that, like, amygdala, that emotional overwhelmed, like, and that's almost like this inner voice. Sometimes we need to try and calm it down, or a bit like, what's that Disney movie, shout it out in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, the Disney movie where it's all the emotions and they've got those balls
in the brain.
You know, but we need to try and support that part of us to let them know that actually it's okay, you know, that all parts are valid and I hear you, but equally
I acknowledge you.
I acknowledge you. You're not supporting me. Do one, or as Louise would do with hers, give it a slap. But yeah, you know, it's acknowledging what's important and getting that quiet space, Jo. You know, emptying the brain as well. So when we're in that state of overwhelm, putting it on paper, you know, doing those kind of things is really, really helpful.
It is, again, I suppose it's the power of the negative, is it? That we allow to overpower us or overwhelm us and stuff like that. It's a bit like that, that kind of analogy sort of thing, like, you know, if you had £86,400 in the bank, right, and you took out 10 or you lost 10, would you, you know, get rid of the other 86,390? Well, no, you wouldn't really, but that's what we do with our seconds in our day. For 10 seconds, you know, you can tell yourself all the negativity and believe that, and it ruins the rest of your day.
Yeah.
It overwhelms the rest of your day because you allow that to happen. In fact, a guy just sent me a thing yesterday, which I won't keep up, but it's basically a mind map of a golf swing which takes 1.5 seconds to do, but look how complicated and confusing and busy it is for 1.5 seconds. It can ruin a whole round. It's absolutely incredible.
Let me read something. Inside Out is the film.
That's it.
Yay!
Yeah, well
Thank you. Okay, during the pandemic, working from home alone, the chats are more prominent with no outside distraction. I totally understand what you're saying. Slapping it away today and a way to do some exercise, thank you. I also noticed your meditation music on your Instagram, so put it on TV yesterday. Amazing.
Great.
So yeah, and this is the thing, like, that's a really, really valid point, Louise, about actually you know, being in that environment. And it goes back to what you were saying, Stu, like, you know, you could be watching a movie, you're not listening to that voice then, like, you're being totally mindful. So this is where your mindfulness can really support this inner chat as well. You know, really when you're in the flow with an activity, or when you're exercising like you're away to, Louise, a lot of the time that inner voice can disappear. And it might come back in, but yeah, it's just having that awareness and looking at trigger points and things as well, and stopping the conversation. Just, you know, this is not supporting me. I am not like going down this path. Thank you for like showing me this, but that's not where I want to be anymore, or that's not who I am anymore, or that's like not valid.
Correct.
So yeah, I don't know, does anybody have any questions about their inner voice and what they can do to support it, or anything else? Let us know in the comments.
In the advance of waiting for a question, if at all, here's another value-based thing. Because we give so much credence to our inner mind, because it's us talking to us, and it's our ego. You know, you can build yourself up into a right threat. You know, if over anything. For example, you know, if you're waiting for a call half an hour from a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, they're waiting to phone and break up with me, and well, I haven't phoned this supposed to phone half an hour ago, and oh my goodness, this is all talking to yourself. Then when the phone rings, you go, oh my God, and you answer it, and they've been delayed because it's your anniversary, or they were getting a present, and it took them a little bit more time, and then your inner mind goes, oh my goodness, oh I love them, they love me. Wait a minute, half an hour ago, you were saying something else. So if that was a real life coach or an advisor advising you of how you're feeling the half hour earlier, would you actually listen to them in the future? Would you take what they were saying? You'd probably fire them, actually, because they've built you up to be dumped from your girlfriend when it's completely the opposite. So it's about listening and giving that value in your mind, what it's actually worth.
Okay, so over on Facebook we have, when you send it off, does it go? It's not always here. I have specialists, or do you mean where does it go? I have specialist experience in overthinking and catastrophizing. Absolutely. So catastrophizing takes training or untraining. So all these things are kind of learned behaviors. We aren't born as a baby just waking up overthinking life. We cry if we're hungry, we poop when we need to poop, we shout for attention, we laugh when others laugh, we're not born into this world overthinkers. So it's actually a learned behavior, and a lot of that can come from things such as anxiety. So things like your meditation and your mindfulness will really, really help with this path. But breaking the cycle of the catastrophizing is the key, okay? And it's maybe highlighting things where, so here's an example. I know when the children were younger, we used to live beside a bridge and it had quite big gaps. And I remember pushing the pram over the bridge, and one of them running ahead, and one of them, it was like a narrow road, but was running along the road, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if one fell off the bridge? Then what would I do? Which child, what would I do? I would have to jump over, but then I'd have to leave the pram. And then, I take it this is where you're going with this, Linda. And this is what I mean. These thoughts are normal, I think, in a lot of women as well, in mothers in particular, you can, like, you suddenly have all this, like, thinking about other people. And I know that a lot of people who work in supportive roles, i.e., could be caterers, could be, any kind of service-based role, we can be quite prone to figuring out the worst case scenario because we want to protect everyone. Okay, but what actually happens in that cycle is you actually destroy that confidence within yourself, and it internally means that you're not actually really protecting anyone. You're putting yourself into a state of fear. So it's about breaking that cycle. So recognizing, actually focusing on something else, focusing on, so in that instance, breathing, the beauty of the river, what a great day it is, bringing that mindful awareness back to the present moment. Had a child fallen off the bridge? No. Okay, so ask yourself, and this is an exercise I do with my anxiety clients actually, is that I do an exercise called anxiety or truth. Okay, or anxiety versus truth. You can think of it like a little box off. But is it anxiety talking or is it truth? So give me another example, Stu, of something you could be overthinking. So you were thinking there a phone call, waiting for the phone call. Yeah. So you're waiting for the phone call, the person hasn't phoned when they said they would. Your mind's gone automatically to, what were you saying? Like, it
could be about they're going to dump you, they're not interested, they lied to you, they don't care about you, they don't love you.
So you could go like that scale, okay? But it's like saying to yourself, okay, is this anxiety or is this truth? Okay, it's not truth. I don't know that for a fact. Like it's a belief, okay? I could go down a whole beliefs and facts and anyway, but it's not true. So it's recognizing that actually, is this anxiety or is this truth, or is this negative thinking or is this truth? And asking yourself, because if it's not factual and it's not true, then just acknowledge that. Okay, well, what is truth in this situation? The truth is I'm just waiting for a phone call. The truth is I'm out for a nice walk with my kids.
I think it really is the acknowledgement and awareness of this that's happening, because it's going to happen. It has happened, it's happening now, it will happen today, and it's going to happen for the rest of your life. And it's not always just about fixing it, it's just acknowledging it. The thought's there, okay, let it go, leave it. It's not to do with me. It's not with me. This is another conversation you can have for hours, is about the power of being a prisoner to other people. Being a prisoner to another person, and that is, you believe they think about you in a certain way, and it hurts you, or it prevents you from doing anything, or it knocks your confidence, and that person doesn't even know you think that, but you've become a prisoner because of your thoughts about that other person, and it's none of your business. What people think about you is none of your business. Not at all. I've lived that.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Although what you think about me is important.
Okay, so Louise is saying it's from 1 to 100 in seconds and back down again. Absolutely.
Easy.
So the way to help this, and Joe had mentioned on Instagram about overwhelm, is to look at opportunities to manage our emotions, look at opportunities to empty our stress bucket, look at opportunities to nourish ourselves, to fill ourselves up with positivity, so that we're not on this emotional roller coaster of listening to that chat and jumping off those things. So I think looking after yourself, self-care, nourishing yourself, finding opportunities for quiet and reflection are really, really important. And the other thing, actually, this is an exercise I've just given my coaching clients, is often we can use journaling and stuff to help empty those thoughts. So say it's like, you're processing something negative. But what's really valuable is actually to start writing down positive things. So not just your gratitude practice, but say you've had a really good day, you might not think to grab your journal or your diary or whatever. You'd be like, had a great day, it's like not in your head. But you know, think about those times when the days have gone well. Why was that? Was it because you were less frazzled? Was it because you ate well? Was it because you'd had a good night's sleep the night before? Was it because you had a really good laugh with a friend on the phone? Acknowledge all those times where things are going really, really well, and that chat has been more positive, to recognize, okay, why was that more why? So like, acknowledge the positive as well, instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, this has happened again, and I'm thinking like this, and this is really negative, because otherwise you get stuck in that cycle.
The power of anchoring, you know, in association, because you don't associate journaling with all the heavy burdens or the negativity.
Well,
That's
you
not
do.
Yeah, that is, but you can also use it for you to lift yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think most people use it from more of a negative thing, though, a lot of the time.
Okay, well, you've got to change that. I mean, you've got to kind of, you know, write it down, acknowledge it, be aware of it, and
Absolutely. Okay.
that's obviously a response from a guy that doesn't journal.
Yeah.
By the way, I just shout. I just shout it out, let it go.
So thank you for joining us this morning. Let us know if there's anything you want us to cover, and hopefully for the person that has messaged in, that has supported you, and a little bit of a chat about inner voice. We like to diversify and wander off here and wander off there. So
we're not a product line.
We're not a product line. No.
So really, the things that you can do, you can meditate, you can have positive affirmations, you can seek quiet, just a quiet moment. You can just walk off somewhere, go and just stand for 10 seconds. Mindfulness, nature,
funny movies.
The awareness that this talk is happening, acknowledge it, let it go. It's none of your business. It's not to do with you.
It's another Disney one.
It's another
Let
Disney
it go.
And that's let it go. Open your heart. Don't close the heart and try and suppress it. Open the heart, accept it, acknowledge it, let it flow. It's remarkable.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Wilma. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Lisa,
Thank
Joe, everybody else who has hopped on live today. With love. With love from our heart to yours. Wishing you a positive day.
Optimistic.
Keep that chat in your head. Have a word. You can name it. Oh, I could go down a whole other lots of coaching processes, but I won't. But anyway, keep that chat positive.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Great stuff. Enjoy your week. See you later.
Bye.